Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another talking initiative where the points don't matter. I don't know. Whatever. Hello, everyone.
The rules are made up and the points don't matter, baby.
Well, yeah, I know. I was just trying to pretend it was a different show, and I would be happy to be on that show. But it is what it is. We are live. I just wanted to verify and just kind of vamp for a little bit. We're going to be talking about episodes 45 and 46 today. But before we get into those episodes and the end of the House of the Rising Spooks arc, let's just go over who we have and just introduce yourselves very quickly. I'm Josh Perault. I'm the DM, and people usually are mad at me about stuff. Drew, who are you?
I'm Drew, and I'm currently playing Krusk.
John.
I'm Bucky, and I'm playing Ven/Arsene.
Nick.
Nick, I play Kent Brickwood of the East Farthing Brickwoods.
And Morgan.
I'm Morgan, and I play Charlotte.
Right. And yeah, that's us. So 45 and 46. There was a lot of I don't know. How would you put
punchy,
it?
stabby.
Yeah, a lot of
There was a lot
punchy.
of squats. There was a lot of squats keeping Nick alive.
Lots of aerobics, calisthenics.
Yeah.
Get them glutes going.
So 45. What happened in that? What did we do?
We fought Baba Lysaga.
I rolled terribly.
That also happened.
Oh yeah. Oh, first off, let's talk about the spell Pass Without a Trace, which is a great spell.
All right, let's talk about it.
Which is a great spell that can assist party members in passing stealth things, which, for all future reference, should be used if you're attempting an attack by stealth.
Also, for future references, all party members can learn to roll stealth better.
It's our
All
fault.
party members can bend predictability to their will.
It's so easy. You just have to, break the laws of physics and whatnot.
Nick did,
Yeah.
but just the wrong direction.
In the wrong direction.
So that episode was essentially the fight. John, would you like to give a little editing behind the scenes of that episode? How long was that fight?
That fight, hold on, I gotta think. That was like 3.5 hours, wasn't it?
It was something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about a 3.5 hour fight. And we edited it down to, what was it, an hour 30, 40?
Hour 20 or 30.
Yeah.
20, 30?
Yeah.
Because wasn't that the session that we went until like 2:30 or 3 in the morning?
Yeah.
Yep.
6-hour session.
Poof.
Well, because we did a bunch of stuff beforehand, and then we got into the fight, and then the fight was a D&D fight, so it took a little while.
Yeah, for us, since we start our sessions late, we started around like 10. We didn't finish until 4 in the morning.
Yeah, and that session started with the episode right after the Death House, correct?
No.
No?
Oh, wait, the session? Yes.
Yeah, the session.
Yeah, so going back to Argon Vosholt,
Yep.
planning, more planning, a lot
Going
of side
back.
talk, finally get into the fight. Oh, yeah, looking at the place, coming back, then going. Yeah, that was a long, long night.
Yeah.
And a lot of rule book checking, a lot of rule bending. To be specific, bending around a skull thing in the air and coming down with a guiding bolt.
Okay, so guiding bolt apparently doesn't work that way, but I'll tell you it worked for that way for us in the moment.
It did.
Well, also, it's
necessary.
called guiding bolt.
Yeah.
It can't do
Thank
a
you.
little bit of directional change in the air.
Which is exactly why I thought that too. And then I realized afterwards that guiding
It's
bolt.
about the advantage afterwards.
Yes, it's
It's
about
guiding.
guiding your friends to hit them as well.
Well, you know what? I don't care.
I thought the same thing. That's why I made that rule call. But it got cut from the episode of us debating that. But we ended up talking it over and saying it will work like that for the rest of the encounter, and then no more of that shit afterwards.
Yeah.
What I actually do care about is the fact that I never got to use those fucking were ravens.
And also,
I never got to do anything with them.
oh yeah, that's right.
We are spectacularly bad as a whole. First off, at D&D,
Mhm.
like we don't do investigation checks for shit.
Nope.
We do not do perception checks for shit. We would barely know that we existed as characters if it were bumbling through and Josh had gently guiding us to where we needed to go. So like there was a lot of stuff in that fight that I wish we could have redone just with a small amount of like Hey, this is a game where we roll dice. Maybe I should roll to see if I can infer anything from this house.
Yeah.
Never. Much more fun to just go in blind and screaming.
Yeah. Instead, we went into the house and saw this screaming hologram baby and was like, "Fuck, that's weird." Anyway, moving on.
Topic though, the fact of us making rules and decisions and things that we didn't necessarily weren't necessarily supposed to do. Remember that, because that's going to be a thing for the rest of the game.
Yep.
I will.
That's not supposed to be like that.
So Hannah is listening and sent me a message through Messenger and not the Twitch chat, but she has just said, "I will do the investigation checks for fuck's sakes, you babies."
Hannah, don't break our streak of being real dumb.
Yeah,
it's how we build the drama. You know, when you watch a drama of any type and you think to yourself, "Man, this character's so stupid. No one would do that." This is how you make sure you get that good drama.
This is how we do
because
it.
Because the second you play smart, you can't be the drama anymore. You got to be all logical, and that's not fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll be a player this time around, so hopefully I'll.
He's bringing the logic smash. Yeah. He's the Hulk.
So
I'll just ruin everything before Josh.
So for the rest of that, hey Polish, how's it going, man? He's in chat.
Hey, Polish.
He says we're pretty people.
Oh,
sexy man, you.
Yeah. So, anything about that fight in particular that anyone wants to mention besides Pass Without a Trace and Guiding Bolts? Was there anything, Nick? How was it for you? Because that was a stressful fight for you, and I say stressful fight loosely.
Yeah. It was very frustrating. I just remember like it was a very long fight. We were tired. It was at the end of a recording session, and all I wanted to do was to pick up the pace. And so, rolls didn't fall in my favor. I kind of, was knocked out of the fight for most of it. But it was just fun to see a big fight like that. And everyone was, I think, on their A game. They were doing really well, except for me. So it was cool. It was frustrating because I wanted to be in it, but I also
think that was one
laying down from the side.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that was one of the nights where again we play late. I think that was one of the few times I remember Nick like legitimately just falling asleep.
Well, I was like,
at least once.
Okay.
He's going meta. He's gone meta. Ken's unconscious. He's going unconscious.
But that was like that ending reaction though. Once it was over, just that was very visceral, and all of us were like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Well, what I will say about this fight is like you get when that first damage hit from the tree.
Oh yeah.
And John's first reaction to falling out of the sky, being like, "Wait, I don't get to save," and Josh being like, "No." That's when the panic set in for all of us. And we all got horrible flashbacks to the Coffin Maker's house. And so most of what Bucky ended up editing out of that episode is us like just freaking out. Yeah. Like just being like, this can't happen. Yeah. And like,
I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
Like I think probably, I can imagine at least 50 "this is bullshits" were cut out from Drew. Like, it was like, we all got scared, and it was a tone shift for us as suddenly we were like, I'm sorry, how much? How much damage?
Well, the fun thing with that, and Morgan, I think you were at the table with me when my dad was listening to that episode. My dad listened to the Coffin Maker Shop episode, and he didn't react at all. I don't know how, he just didn't. So when I was playing this episode for him, I expected the same. But as soon as he heard me say no to John's saving throw, his eyes just got wide and looked at me, and I'm like, yeah. And then I said the numbers with the tree damage, and he was like, that's a high number. I'm like, yeah. So Dad was just fully invested into that fight, and that was from, being his kid, that was an awesome thing to see from my dad of like, yes, and watch them. Enjoy the show.
We were at the breakfast table where Josh's 4-year-old was at, and then Podcast Me decided to let out like 3 F-bombs, and we were like, well, that's for later.
I think the difference between, the Coffin Maker's house, we kind of went in very cocky, and, it wasn't until very late in the fight that we realized that we were, neck deep in crap. But this one, from the moment we got in, it was just, we're going to be hitting something big. So I think we kind of took it a little bit more cautious.
I think I also told all of you beforehand that this was the second hardest or hardest fight in the entire book. I was just being straight up honest. So that way you guys knew what you were getting into, which probably led to a lot of the cross chatter before then of just nerves going. But something very similar to, something very similar to this fight and the Coffin Maker fight that I saw was in other fights, there's a lot of talking and banter going on. In this, everyone was quiet at some points, especially after those damage numbers came out. It was just, oh shit, this is bad.
Well, that's the thing I've noticed, like in every D&D thing or whatever I've listened to or watched. The second a fight starts going bad, everyone goes quiet.
Yeah.
Like that's the moment you realize that the party is like, oh, we're fucked. This is really bad because everyone
abort.
Yep.
Yeah, like you see it a lot in Critical Role where they're, they fight some thugs and they're like, ha ha ha, making jokes. So that guy falls over and falls. Wee. But then they fight, one of the big bosses and everyone's just like,
everybody's very intense. Yeah.
Everyone's like looking down or it's just like rapidly studying their characters.
In the hand.
Every spellcaster going through all their spells going, nope,
they're just what can I do? What can I bring to this table? Head in the hand, just like exasperated and tired.
I just remember getting to a point, I think towards the end of it, I had one spell slot left. And I was like, if she doesn't go down, we're fucked. We're just straight Jimmy jammed because I'm tapped,
Yeah.
So it very much came down to the wire on that one, and we all got very scared and intense about it.
And John, I know we were talking about this earlier because if for anyone who doesn't know like the higher level spells, the spell that was cast was Power Word Stun.
Yeah.
And John and I were talking about this later, that in the Death House, when we went back, one of the first things I did was take John out of commission. And granted, that was a kind of by chance roll of the chains getting him and pulling him up and he couldn't do anything. And then we hop into this fight, and the first thing that happens is John just gets laid out. Or I should be saying Ven. Ven did. I didn't knock John out. That would have been really mean of me as a best friend.
Please don't.
I won't.
Also would have been weird because you were across the city.
I know.
Yeah, that would be very strange.
So, John, I know we talked about it ourselves, but how was that for you as the main damage dealer being taken out of commission, and why do you think that was happening? Because I think the discussion we had about it was pretty important and, gave clues to things.
I was infuriated personally. I was really mad because it felt like one of the reasons I ended up switching Ven to the different version of Pendragon was because I felt like I wasn't doing anything as the other one, and I wasn't really enjoying that class and play style. So I was like, I want to try something different. I want to try the other version, and then I can maybe do a little bit more damage and do some stuff. And then basically, ever since that change, every chance we've got, Ven's either been taken out of commission or he doesn't get a chance to do anything. And I still felt like that mentality, that idea was still very prominent in my mind. And I just got mad because I couldn't get mad at Josh because it made sense. It made sense as to why he did what he did, because with Ven having the ability to fly, it's like, oh, that's my primary target and I should be worried about that right now. I'm taking that out right now. And I can't get mad at you because that's just smart thinking. Any person in a battle would be like, oh, the person that can get to me the fastest, I'm going to take them out because I don't want them getting close. Especially for a magic user.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
That makes complete sense. Like, I don't want anybody being near me. Everybody get the fuck away because I want to blow you up with spells and never get hit.
Yeah.
So it makes total sense.
I think at one point in the episode, as I was very stressed out and I was upset, this is a deeply unfortunate trait of mine that I'm trying to fix. When I get stressed out, I get angry. A lot also what was edited out of that episode and the other episode that we just released was a lot of me being furious, being just like very upset about things. And I'm trying to be better at it because it doesn't make me as fun as a gamer as I feel like I want to be, because I feel like I exude a lot of negative energy that we're all playing a game here. It's make believe. But at one point I did try to reassure Josh, like, I am upset at this situation. I'm feeling very aggressive right now, but it's not at you. I just like, I can't change this reaction that I'm having right now, which is just rage. I almost said a spoiler for our next campaign. Never mind.
Good job.
Not yet.
I was like,
And yes, Polish, to make that comparison, it is like Overwatch. You take out your Pharah because they're up in the air and they can just get you, and your Pocket Mercy because you don't want them heals going off. It's the same kind of strategy.
It's also mentioning the other thing that Polish said about Death Ward. In this fight, every single person popped their Death Ward.
Yep.
Every single one of us popped Death Ward.
And a lot of them were from the magic items that we're using in this campaign. So if you ran this book as it is, or like without the help of extra items or homebrew stuff, this would have went real bad.
Yeah.
Like, super duper bad.
Yeah.
But you know, you
can
can also
down to luck, though, because if you have a different party and you're walking in with a party that's more stealthy than we are, because all of us are in big heavy armor, but if you're walking in with a stealthy party, you could successfully get in there, get in close, and then take her out.
Yeah. Or just go in, steal the sword, and leave.
Or that too.
Yeah. So that brings me to Drew for Krusk, because Ferguson kept on jumping into action all the time. Mikhail was very upfront and personal. Krusk is a very different character, more withdrawn, stays in the back. How do you like this style of play versus the other?
I mean, I don't feel one way or the other about them. But mostly because Mikhail was up front, because that's who the character was. The character was, out in front, protect everyone else at all costs. Ferguson just was never going to walk away from anything that was evil. Krusk, is a cautious, stealthy fighter who spent most of his life in the woods. Not afraid to get up close if he has to, but lived wandering around in the woods and various things. One of those people who knows how to stay back when he needs to. So it's more of just like what the character would do versus the preferred style. Because especially in 5e, there's not like a huge difference in weapon damage. Pretty much D&D as a whole, like your big weapon damage dealing things are spells. A couple people that I'm assuming this is directed at me in chat. Do I have a preference in play style though? Okay. Usually I play fighty characters, so I guess I would say up close and personal fighters.
Yeah, most of the ones I've seen from you, including the homebrew campaign Bucky ran for us beforehand, was that dexterous fighter that was in there, and then Mikhail, and
yeah.
I mean, part of it's definitely because every time I play D&D, everyone always grabs the wizards and spellcasters first. It's like, okay, well, I don't want an entire party of wizards. Not that it wouldn't be fun. I just, you don't want that. So
Take a fun one shot.
Usually go with a fighter.
All right, so it's 8:20 currently, so we have 10 minutes before we get to questions. So let's hop over to the next episode, which was episode 46, the arc finale. What happened in that episode? Anyone?
It was us getting back, being crazy tired, and then
Ben was particularly tired.
It was a little bit of an info dump and then a invitation to a dinner.
There was some beautiful forehead kisses by Kent to Ben.
Some many that episode.
There was some bad perception checks.
Yep.
But we remembered to do them.
That's true.
I think we were prompted though, but
I definitely prompted.
Yeah, and
there were some amazing stealth checks.
There was some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Callista left.
Yep.
And then we got summoned to the castle. And cut out of this episode was a whole lot of bitching from one Morgan Elizabeth Conroy about long rests.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
This episode and the next one. Completely tickled.
It's like the next two. You guys, I feel so bad for our editors because what had happened was that before that episode started, I was punished for, well, you can say that this was a punishment for metagaming. I knew that Kent had part of his soul missing and that was causing some bad stuff. So I was like, before we go into this big fight, I want to cast Lesser Restoration on him so that he can get his full thing and not be Strahd controlled or whatever.
I appreciated it. I did.
Yeah.
And so before that session started, Josh and I went to Bucky and I was like, hey, I only have one 5th level spell. Do you think it would be okay for me to take Restoration and heal Ken? And then later I can have another very powerful spell that I want for the fight with Strahd. And both of them went, yeah, sounds good. And then we got into the session and I cast Lesser Restoration. And I was like, well, that's my 5th level spell, just gone for now. And then it was like, no, it's happening. And there's time for a long rest, you sucker.
Now, I thought that was a good idea because I was like, oh yeah, we could just take another long rest and you'll be fine. And then Josh was like, oh yeah, that's fine. Knowing he was like, I'm a fuck all y'all.
Well, actually, no, I didn't know that because the 6 o'clock dinner was completely improv on the spot. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I went, oops, shit.
Oops.
Was not prepped for that. I was writing the letter as I tend to do. Every single letter that I've ever said out loud, I'm just not written down. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So that's why in the castle, when we got there,
You are so lucky we are in 2 different boroughs right now. You are so lucky we are in 2 different boroughs. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So with those letters, whenever I say them, it is always improv. I do not write down the letters. I say what's in the moment. And if I need to change something on the spot to make it fit later, that's why I like to do that. So when we got to the castle and you were just missing your 1 spell slot and really needed your rest to get that 1 spell slot back.
Hold on. We're not there. We're not there yet, though.
I'm aware. So when we get to there in the game in the future, I was already planning ahead of how to give that back to you to kind of circumvent the issue that I started.
I don't believe you anymore because I had to be so pissy about that for so long.
I know.
I didn't know that was improv. Ooh, I didn't know that was improv. I thought that was just a thing. I thought that was pre-planned. Ooh.
Nope. There's an invitation that exists.
Improv makes it worse, Josh.
Yeah. You shouldn't have opened up to that one.
I'm being completely honest. That is what happened. I was going to invite to dinner, and I just thought it would be more realistic to say a time, and I thought of what time it was and what happened. I'm like, oops, shit. Yeah. So
bad.
Another thing.
That's also what had to be edited out. Was like just moments of silence punctuated by me being like, I'm furious.
Well, another thing that happened, Nick got to make all his Star Wars references because we activated the stun sword.
Yes.
God.
And we got it working, and then collapsed because of this crazy vengeance thing that's inside of the weapon, which is crazy and cool. And then we got it working, and we have a crazy fucking sun weapon that does a lot of damage to things that we don't
I'm
like.
sorry. Hannah would like to say, she messaged me on Messenger and said, hey, you're dating a monster.
That is true. I can vouch for it.
Yeah. Well, I will say this without saying anything or any point in time, if it happened already, if it will happen in the future or anything, Nick has told me the sentence in game, the audience is going to hate you. And I've taken that to heart of like, yeah, I know it's happened. Yeah. We're past that.
It's the curse of DM.
Yeah.
Also, let's all be fair. Not only is it the curse of DM, it's the curse of DM running a horror campaign.
Yeah.
And you're also wanting to make it a good story too. I mean, we hope to make something entertaining and, free flowing, but sometimes you got to punch it up and keep us on our toes to get some good reactions out of us.
Yeah. That's the DM is you have to be the punching bag, and John will experience this during the next campaign. Mercer gets it all the goddamn time, but he has way more people yelling at him than I do.
People get attached to their characters, and when they see something they think is unfair, they want to call out the injustice that they see.
React.
Right.
Whether or not it's a real injustice or an imagined injustice.
Well, speaking of reacting,
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to respond to Nathan's comment in not another Nathan in the chat of like, as Charlotte was casting that spell, I thought, I wonder why she's casting that at the start of the day. It's because I was lied to. That's why I was betrayed.
Heard it here first, folks. She was lied to.
Yeah.
Well, if I told you that it would not have been okay, that would be metagaming, and that is not okay. In that situation, it sounded like the right thing to do. You didn't know it was coming. Apparently, neither did I. But to reacting to things, when you guys were approaching the castle, and I gave those descriptions, this is not going to include the episode that hasn't released yet. What were your thoughts of how the castle was going to be on the way there? Do you think this was going to be a fast trip, a slow trip? John, pretty much you said it in that one word. But what was your overall feeling to this? Because, Nick, you thought we were ending the game in the death house. So now that you knew that we were going to the end again, where was your head at?
A little. Well, I mean, I feel like ever since the time jump, I remember after every recording being like, how much time do we have left? How much time do we have left? And I was like, because I felt like it was really ramping up and getting to the end. And so I was like, is this the last session? Is this the last session? When are we going back to the murder house? And then you kind of were like, no, that's we're not going there right now. And so I got excited. This is a place that, has been hinted at the entire time that we've been playing. So I expected a long journey or like a long session to get, and get started to this final arc.
Yeah,
really
you're right. There's a lot of buildup. The entire game is about this one buildup to this one place that's overlooking everything all the time. And we get to hear some more Zach Valenti, which is better for everybody.
I mean, Nick, you realize that we played pretty much 2 arcs of a story. We played the setup and the middle conflict, and we were rolling into in conflict. And the third act is always like real rapid, just like, let's go.
Yeah, I guess, I guess towards the end I wanted it to last longer. I was like, oh, we're gonna be playing these characters for a while. And so I don't know what I expected, but it's gonna be a good one. I'm very excited to have these episodes come out.
Yes, same. Which people have been asking, how long is this going to be? I think like spitballing, ending around March, April, maybe.
And the way we've been editing them lately, it might be sooner.
True.
So.
The next episode was initially because of anger and sass about where we were going by everyone. And just general silences and all that. The episode went from like 2.5 hours to an hour. Like we were just able to cut that much out of it. So we're truncating these episodes and just getting them out. But next episode, which is the start of the final countdown, which John has told me ad nauseum how much he hates this goddamn name.
I love it.
I hate it.
Thank you, Nick.
Don't like the final countdown.
The pun was just too hard. But that comes out on the 26th.
It's barely a pun. Let's be honest.
It's true. It's a space. It's one space. But that will be coming out on the 26th, or if you are a patron with $3 or more, it will come out the Friday before, so the 23rd of this month.
It's more of a pun if you say the final countdown.
Out.
To really drive home what you're
I mean, to really drive it in, we need to be like, it's the final countdown.
There you go.
Or it's the final countdown by Europe.
Yeah. So before we move on to the questions, which we got a lot of questions when we asked, so thank you, patrons, for that.
Thank you.
Is there anything anyone wants to say about these last 2 episodes?
I love you all.
Oh.
It's a lot of fun.
Good. Okay. I guess we said everything we had to say.
I don't have any specific notes about the 2 episodes.
Okay. So, John, since you made this very awesome-looking spreadsheet here, would you like to pick the first question?
Going off of this love, this is from VV9087 on Discord. What's been everyone's favorite moment in the show so far?
Do you have one that you already know, John?
Nope, I have to think about it.
Okay. Does anyone have an immediate one?
I just loved the concept of the time jump. I remember when we were talking about the next step after the coffin maker's house, and just the ideas that were flowing between all of us, it reminded me of when we start a campaign. I was like super excited about, changing these characters up and really getting a new feel for how the group was going to work and a new group dynamic. I think that was a really cool idea, and I really like it.
Drew, what about you?
I don't have a serious one, so I'm going to say a joke one. And my favorite part of the campaign was when Ferguson finally died. That's a lie. I love Ferguson. Actual favorite moment of the campaign so far? Probably just any of the short downtime episodes that we had, like the RP heavy sections.
Mm-hmm.
They're some of my favorite, especially ones when we're feeling less like we've gotten screwed over because we don't have our spell slot or whatever's going on, because we tend to riff off each other fairly well. It's a lot of fun.
Morgan,
I would say that one of my favorite moment for Charlotte is something that has not happened yet.
Well, this one is for the favorite moment of the show so far.
So far, then I would say, as like a listener, I wasn't even involved in the podcast yet, but the moment that I was like, "Oh shit," was Kent's dream.
Oh yeah.
The nightmare. I think that was like, I think I was texting Josh as I was listening to it and was like, "Oh my god, like, oh shit's real. It's real." So I would say that for me is like when I was like, oh, we're getting serious on this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot about the nightmare bit. That may have to take it for me, because doing that whole scene, prepping for that scene put me in a dark place for a bit, because I was just talking it out in my head, and after I left my mouth, I'm like, man, I'm messed up. I played it for my mom, and she's like, "Did you write that?" I'm like, "Yeah."
You got something to talk about there, son?
Yeah, no.
Doing okay?
Just hold my kid tighter. That may have to be mine too. But one of the moments I really enjoyed watching happen, as stressful as it was Ven and Ferguson fighting after getting the soul of Vladimir.
Oh yeah.
That was intense.
That RP was nuts. And Nick just sitting there with like a bag of like pretend popcorn.
We were both, because I was new and I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
So I thought about it, and I definitely think that my favorite moment so far was the reveal of Rictavio as Van Richten in that shift, for two reasons. One, because there was that moment when the shift happened, and it ended basically with like, I think the episode ended with like Van Richten pointing the gun at Kent, and Drew and I were just like,
yep.
What the fuck is happening? And two, because it is always a fucking pleasure to play with Celeste.
She's delightful.
Much fun to play with, and
Also,
I will give her any chance I can.
If Kent had been killed in this campaign, I would have quit and probably kidnapped all of you and left you in like boring.
Become the Sasquatch and just ran off.
Yeah. So, Kent was the only thing that made me stay in this campaign.
Oh, thank you.
He was the light of this campaign.
The heart.
And when we say Kent, we mean Nick.
We mean, well, the Kent is basically just Nick, just like turned up to a comedic level.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
A caricature level. There we go.
My heart just grew 10 sizes. Thank you guys.
Of course.
Eyelash in my eye, guys. It's the worst.
Oh no, it's okay. You can be crying. It doesn't matter.
Nigga's like, I'm just
if I was gonna cry, I would put the camera right in my face.
This is for you,
eyelash.
Nick.
It hurts so much.
Watch me weep.
Look at what you've done.
Morgan, would you like to choose a question?
Let's see. Oh, that's actually a very good question. Question for Nicholas.
Oh, hey.
When you came up with the concept for Kent, were you worried that his sex-centric, oh God, Bucky, your little name came up in front of the question.
Sorry.
Thinking would put anyone off? Like his like sex focus would like kind of turn people off.
And that was from Kintaro TPC.
Thank you for the question. So at first, I didn't realize how long of a campaign we would be playing, and I was really that was a moment where I was really getting into backstory and trying to create something realistic and something that was deep, but also had a fun character trait that I could play off of. I didn't think that it was going to, rub people the wrong way because I wasn't really sure who was going to be listening. I was just trying to create kind of like a free, fun-loving character that I could crack jokes with. I can crack jokes with everyone about. And I feel like later on, as I realized that the campaign was getting longer and longer, I kind of stepped back from those jokes. I tried to, especially with the time jump, I tried to, make Kent a little bit more serious just because this was a serious campaign. But I did not foresee where Kent's sex crazed focus would lead. I didn't foresee that for sure.
Which that was a discussion we had at length of like, this is how it is. We recognize that this may not be a good character for people to latch onto for that reason. Everything else was great about the childishness, but it fit the child's like kind of feel of, I'm not sure what mature is, and I've been around people that didn't really tell me how it is, and then how you would grow as a character to make that a better person.
I think it also helped with the fact that the characters that were with him kept telling him that's not good.
Exactly.
I will say that as a person who started listening to it, I did have some concerns early on because I was like, there are no women on this podcast in those first couple of episodes, and to hear a bunch of men like talking about like big women, I was at first I texted Josh and I was like, does this get better? Because I'm a little uncomfortable. And Josh reassured me and was like, no, it will get better. Like they do call him out on it. So it was a concern of mine. And I think they've done a really good job of like developing him over time and making him more of a real character as opposed to just like sort of a two-dimensional horn dog, So I think that's a really good question and something that we're trying to be mindful of, like going forward, of like how can we have a more diverse cast? How can we keep those things in mind? How can we, be more cognizant of those things? So.
And also, I've talked about this with everybody a lot. I have a very deep feeling of having characters who aren't like good or fleshed out or mature to start out with, to give them that growth, to show sometimes to show not good behavior is to display it and then not condone it. That way you can show your examples and show how you can grow from that and become better. And Kent was a perfect example of that. So that's a firm belief for me, because not every character, and especially not every person, starts out perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think in his backstory, I really like laid the groundwork for the person who he is down at his core, and then kind of just like surrounded it in this like goofy premise that I knew eventually I might shake. How long before those jokes get stale, or rub somebody the wrong way. I go too far. I don't want to. So I knew he was going to grow, and I was excited to see how that progressed slowly, but over a long campaign.
Drew, you have any question in mind?
I like this one from Lilth. This is from Lilth on Discord. I think I've already asked this before in the D&D chat, but what is everyone's favorite way to take notes, both as players and DMs? And personally, I've experimented with a bunch of different things throughout this. I mean, every time I've played, but through this particular campaign, at one point, I was taking them by hand, and I still kind of do that. At another point, I had a shared Google Doc with all the players, and we kind of just added stuff to it. But that kind of became a mess, and that didn't really work very well. But we tried that. So I try to just take notes that I can do references to. I think for the upcoming campaign, when we start it, I'm probably going to do the same thing, and then I'm probably going to try to go back and expound on stuff a little bit more so I can refer to it later. Because I tend to take notes shorthand. That's what I do. Just something to remind myself about what happened, but you forget all that stuff, 3 months down the line.
John, what do you do?
Typically, I take notes differently as a player and as a DM. When I'm a player, I feel like I have more time to write. because I can like take time to myself to like make sure my notes are fleshed out in that moment and let other people talk and do things while I'm sitting there writing it out. So my notes when I'm a player are typically more fleshed out, and I try and it's usually a mess, and I just like if it's something I have to quickly like remember, I'll like jot it down and then it'll be off in some corner. So my notepad, like my note sheets are like sporadic and all over the place, which I have to get more organized with. But as a DM, when you have a million and one things going around and you're trying to listen to people talk and like pick up on clues of things that they're saying and think being like, oh, that person just said this thing, I should remember that later for some cool plot point that I have going forward, or like things like that, I would typically just write down something quick that'll remind me of that moment that I need to remember. So it'll be something really quick shorthand, like Drew said, like remember this thing, and that's about it. And then later on afterwards, I'll go through those notes and be like, all right, what can I take here and use going forward?
Nick?
I did not take notes this entire campaign.
Yep, I was waiting for that.
And it severely hurt me in the long run. There was a lot of times where I had to ask you guys, like, who is this? I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I didn't remember Ismark was even a person until like 4 recording sessions after we met him, which is something that I'm actually actively trying to fix for this next campaign, because I saw, I was just kind of free-flowing it before I saw how much it hurt me. So I have a physical notebook. I have my iPad. I'm going to be taking notes, really, I'm going to be trying to take notes regularly, so I could refer back to them and make sure that this character stays consistent throughout the whole campaign. So yeah.
Although, as I said real fast, I want to say this. I think not taking notes worked out for Kent, because Kent seemed like an absent-minded kind of person. So not remembering who Ismark was, and it works out very well.
It felt like a character decision.
Yeah.
It'll be a character trait in every character I play. Like, who's that? Oh, okay.
And Morgan, what do you do?
I took paper notes. So I think the Google Doc idea is a really good one. I just have one laptop, and I think a Google Doc for how we play and on Zoom, and I would need like 2 monitors so I could pop the Google Doc up and like one monitor and take notes and then still pay attention to the lovely faces that I'm rolling dice with. But I have ADD and a terrible memory. So I have to take notes. Otherwise, I just won't know what's going on. So I take paper notes. How legible and coherent those notes are it varies. I think during one situation, I had written "Strahd sucks, eat a dick," and like doodled a bunch of little flowers all over it, like at least 6 times. So that wasn't very productive, but it kept me kind of grounded. But yeah, I take paper notes. I've actually just realized that my gaming notebook is at Josh's right now.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oh,
you can copy my notes after the session. Don't worry.
Sweet, thanks.
I was going to say, I have an idea for this season, which I'll discuss off air, because I don't know if it's going to work, and I don't want to get into it yet. Like,
cool.
With a bunch of people staring at me.
Hey.
And for me, my notes as a DM, as a player, it's really easy. It's handwritten 99% of the time. It's like on the back of a character sheet. If it's a one-shot, that way the one-shot notes stick with the character. If not, I usually have a notebook, and I just start going. I just write down whatever I can. Normally, the way my memory works is if I handwrite it, it is being etched into my memory. So the process of writing it down is the memory portion for me. That's how it's always tended to help. For DMing, though, I went through multiple styles until I got to one that I was very comfortable with. When I started with the Death House, I plotted everything out beforehand. I think it was like 3 pages worth of notes, who the players were, what the different rooms were going to be, what page on the monster manual this monster would show up. That way I had a nice easy index of what was in the house. That's how I did that. That changed. When I went to Valakai, I ended up... Valakai? It may have been Valakai. I did a Google sheet, color-coded, tab delineated, and broke down the entire town. I didn't stare at it once while we played. It was a waste of goddamn time and didn't stick anything into my brain. It just told me like, oh, those NPCs are there and we'll never talk to them. So it was a waste of hours of my time doing it. After that, my note process became twofold. One was on my iPhone, I have just notes, and I just start typing away. And as a stream of conscious, I did it for Ven's grandmother's backstory, was just me just hammering away. Same thing for the dreams, for like what Kent went through and everything. That's the note side. Or me just pacing back and forth in the living room. Morgan has seen this happen plenty of times. I just pick a lane and I just drill through the floor by just walking back and forth, have music in my ears, and just talking out loud to myself. Also, shower talking. It helps beautifully. Good acoustics. Also, the 2-part of that is I have this nice notebook from Wizards of the Coast, which is a grid map notebook. This was the entirety of the Baba Lysaga stuff. The only notes that are in here are the encounter specs. I put HP, I put AC, I put their attacks, and then I put like a little kind of HP amount of space so I can just keep on marking down. Any special abilities are in there too, and the page number that they tend to show up with, that goes there. Maybe even a little mini map for the grid. That's it. That's all my notes. Because especially for a module, you have the book, so you can always just refer to it. But towards the end of the campaign, I went from writing everything down and prepping everything to just read ahead and not write anything down. Because also, since I was an editor, I hear everything. So it doesn't matter from that respect because I'm just going to be listening to it later. But that's how my process has gone now. If I run another module, it'll just be a lot of reading, some very quick notes, and then that notepad in my iPhone, just stream of conscious. That helped probably more than anything. Because again, once I'm in the process of doing it, I'm burning it into my memory when I do it. So it's the physical action that helps. But that's just how my brain works. Okay. Nick, I don't believe you chose a question yet, did you?
No, I did not, but I do have a question for Morgan. What is it like to have part of your original character live on, as in the wife?
And that was also from Kintaro TPC.
Good questions. It was good. It's something that I pushed for because I didn't want the wife to be kind of tossed aside. I didn't want Maureen to be tossed aside. So it's something that I pushed for, but it is hard relinquishing control over something that was once my baby. So you'll notice in some episodes, I'm like, Kent, don't forget, you have Maureen. You can use her. Because I am more cognizant sometimes of that because it was my item than Kent's item. But it was good. I wanted to them to be kind of because Roz didn't get to make a very long sort of physical impact. I kind of wanted to be like a spiritual kind of reminder of her in the campaign. So good, sad, a little difficult because I'm a know-it-all.
Okay, so I'll pick a question on this one. Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. This is from Rogue 2015. This is to the crew. Is there anything you left? Actually, this is a 2-part question. So for me, is there anything you were hoping the crew would go check out on their own? And to you, is there anything you felt was left unfinished or incomplete going into the final arc? So before you went into the castle, is there something that you wanted to do or someone you wanted to talk to or anything that you felt was just unfinished business that you wouldn't get to do?
A long rest.
I walked into that one. Anybody for that? Is there anything you guys wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to have a conversation with Godfrey before I left. Like, I really wanted to have like that send off and that moment where I would be like, "This is yours now. Like, Vladimir belongs to you. He's back in your possession." Like, I wanted to have that moment happen. I was looking forward to that, and then when the carriage came up, I was like, "I guess I'm just leaving it here because I got work to do," and I just packed up and left.
Well, as an interesting follow-up, John, and this is just. Think of this as going into the castle, not anything that happened afterwards. Did you feel that you would not get to talk to Godfrey afterwards because you were not expecting to leave?
I didn't know. There was so much left in unknown that I didn't know. Like, I was going back to like how we felt approaching the castle. I was nervous because this is the end game. This is what we've worked towards this entire time. And there was so much unknown. Because there was literally nothing we knew about this castle, where I was like, I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I don't know what's going to happen. I can walk in, I could die the second we walk into the castle, I could be dead. I could be, something could happen. I don't know. So I didn't know if I was ever going to get that chance again. And I also didn't know what would happen if, for chance, we say one. Like, I didn't know what the outcome of that was going to be. Maybe something completely different happens. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So that's why I was upset.
What about for Krusk and Charlotte? Was there anything for your characters that you wanted to do before?
Because for me, because Charlotte was newer, like, and I hadn't had time to have unfinished business in Barovia, Mama just won't be out.
Fair.
I mean, I think the only thing that I would say, character-wise, for Krusk would have been wanting to know more about where they were going. But that would be it.
Yeah, like scouting the location.
Yes, scouting. Instead, it was just more of a get in this fucking carriage and let's go.
Ferguson never got to punch Van Richten in the face.
He's gonna do that when Van Richten dies. Finally.
Yeah, like 40 years down the line, Van Richten's like, "Oh, I'm free." Done.
Mama said, nah. Welcome to the afterlife.
That's fucking fine.
And what
I
about
met this weird dragonborn over here.
what about Kent?
I mean, one of the benefits of having a whole arc centered around Kent was that I feel like they covered a lot of, character growth and backstory. And the year jump, I feel like we really did a really good course correction. Well, not course correction, but a course change for him as a now more mature, fighter in this war. So I don't think there was much that was left, unfinished for Kent.
Well, at this point in time, when you were going to the castle, you just found out that Van Richten disappeared with his old partner and have no idea where they went.
Well, yeah, actually, that's actually a very good point. So you kind of just like dropped that bomb on me and then immediately shoved us into this cart situation. So that is a good point. The fact that I, don't know where Van Richten is
or Callista
or what exactly happened when we got that report back that, Van Richten's been missing for a while. And that he's, with this dangerous ex-partner of his. So, okay, that is true. That's a lot that was left unfinished. But I mean, as for Kent, personally, I think we handled a lot of him, and I'm happy with where he came from.
And what about you, Josh? Were there anywhere places in the game that you thought that you really were looking forward for us to go to that we didn't get to?
Not really. You guys covered basically where I wanted to go with it, and I liked the more streamlined story-based process of this instead of the fully open world kind of feel, because I felt like there was purpose, there was direction. Curse of Strahd is very good at get item A, B, C, kill the guy, you're done, get out. And I enjoyed that, especially from a storytelling podcast point of view. It had that arc structure that was built in. I really wanted to get more into Ferguson's stuff, but unfortunately Coffin Maker Shop happened. That was a big thing I really wanted to dive into, but we just couldn't. And that is what it is. That's how the dice roll. Nick, yep.
I want to change my answer. We never really found out if Madame Eva wanted Kent in the way he thought. So, can we have a definitive answer? Was she feeling him too?
I'll leave that for Kent's imagination. Yeah.
Easy answer.
Yeah.
Time to get the fan fiction going.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, I was very cool with where we were. If I wanted to go elsewhere, I probably would have emphasized it a bit more. But there was the chance that you guys weren't going to get in the cart and you were going to just not go that way, and then we would have seen where that would have went. Would you have gone there on foot? Would you have tried to get an army? Or there was a lot of stuff it could have went, but I'm happy, especially since it's now ended and we know what the complete package was. I'm cool with how the story went. I'm down. Even things that weren't expected turned into amazing things. Mikhail dying turned into a whole part of an arc. Ferguson dying and Raz dying gave that year jump and changed the entire narrative. So these unexpected little bits caused the story to flourish in other ways, and I'm really happy with how it went. So it's 8:55. We probably have time for one more question. John, you started it off. Would you like to pick another one?
Sure. I don't want to go with anything too in-depth. That'll take a while. So I'm going to ask this one that's also from Rogue 2015. Drew, Will you be running a game of Monster Hearts for the TI crew as an interlude at some point?
I can probably say definitively no, because I'm pretty sure the only two people in this group, other than myself, who would play it would be Nick and Morgan. I don't feel like Bucky or Josh
I'd play it.
It would enjoy themselves in a teenage sex game.
Wait, what?
The
It's
teenage
like Riverdale.
monster-
It's like Buffy.
It's like Riverdale, but with monsters and sex.
Yeah.
We were gonna
Bucky-
play it one time, and you were so excited to play the Queen playbook.
Oh yeah.
Anytime you have sex with somebody, they become part of your gang.
Bucky, is there a monitor above your eye line?
Yeah, it's my TV.
Okay, because I gotta be honest, pal. You look like a cat that's seen a bug, right?
Oh. Yeah, no, my TV is connected to my laptop, which is down here. My TV.
Going back real fast, if they want to play, yes, I will run Monster Hearts for this group.
I know it was an initial plan a while ago, so hey, we'll put that on a possibility list. Very quick question from Stuart, SMDL2. Since you brought up beards in the Discord, what beard moisturizing measure do each of you take? I don't. It just is what it is on my face, and I like it that way. Morgan, what do you do for yours?
That's
I
a good
dream.
It's
It's getting. First off, I'd like to say that I changed my hair color to be more of a Tillman type. But
Tillman shade.
it's getting to a point now where I can kind of manipulate my braid into more.
There you go.
There it is. Yep.
Rock that dwarven look.
There you go.
I don't do anything with it. I'm trying to grow it out though now, so I might start introducing something, but I will take full recommendations, pass them along. I want to make this thing grow luscious and be amazing.
John?
I have the unfortunate happenstance of being cursed by Josh. Ever since we've been best friends for years, he has stolen my capability of growing a full-grown, luscious beard. So I've tried blood. I've tried summoning rituals. I've tried many things to try and do this, but this curse is too strong, and it will not break.
You should try peppermint.
Peppermint.
Throw pepper on your face.
But I do have a little bit of scruff here, and I try to grow it out occasionally, and I usually use like a beard soap that Drew told me about that I really like. It's actually like kind of nice and it moisturizes the face. And I also have a boar bristle beard brush that I like brush it out so I keep it straight because my hair grows in very scraggly. But yeah, that's it.
And Drew?
All right, let me tell you how to take care of your beard.
Yeah, that's really why I left you for last.
As a man with dry as fuck skin and hair, let me tell you how to take care of your beard. All right, so you get Professor Fuzzyworth's beard. It is comes in a little block. That's great. You just rub it in your beard, wash your beard.
That's the
Great.
one. That's it.
I also found you can get this at Target. Cremo beard conditioner. You rub it in. Takes 30 seconds. You wash it back out. It's peppermint. It's great. You want to get a beard brush if you have a short like scruffy beard and you want to brush it at least 3 times a day. Honestly, it helps get rid of dead hair, skin follicles, all that shit. It makes it nice and clean and pretty. You also want to get, if it's long, you want a beard brush, preferably wood because it will absorb beard oil, which I'm about to get into. You want to get some beard oil. Beard oil is great. You rub it in your beard, you leave it in all day. You can add a little bit throughout the day to help keep it shiny and conditioned. If you have a wooden brush or a boar bristle comb, it will absorb that oil. So when you use it again, so you carry that small brush or comb with you, use it throughout the day if you need to. If your beard gets a little weird, it will help continue to condition your beard. You can find whatever you want. I personally like to use Wild Rose Raven scent. It smells very earthy. That's what I like.
Sounds like the most Drew Tillman thing.
It smells kind of like the deep woods, and it makes me happy. But
living that Sasquatch life.
Yes, if you want more in-depth stuff rather than a very quick explanation, hit me up on Discord or Twitter. I will talk about beard conditioning stuff all the time because I need lots of it.
I think I need to give you my Twitter handle. So I know it's almost 9 o'clock, but this is a very quick question that John can answer. It's from Kentaro. Question for Bucky. Did you expect to become one with our scene, or was it unexpected? I believe we went into it a little bit, but if you'd like to quickly go into it.
Yeah, no, me and Josh had a chat about it around the time when I was like, I don't feel like Ven's doing much as that specific archetype. And then I sat down with him And we probably had like a good like hour-long conversation about like what we could do with Ven and like how we could do it. And I came up with the idea of merging the two of them together in that way. And then that got Josh thinking, and he came up with the whole idea of us going to Argon Bustholt and doing that the whole thing and the merging thing. So it was kind of one of those things where I didn't expect to do it at the beginning of the game, but as we got further and further into the game, it just became something. And then it was expected that like I felt that I wasn't contributing, and then I wanted to do something different.
Actually, we had a backup plan in case something happened before then.
We did, and I can actually say that now.
Yeah.
So my initial plan was that if anything did happen to Ven, and Ven died, and there was no way to bring him back, what was going to happen was that the heart within his body was going to cause some form of like ripple effect to happen and essentially pull Arsene into Ven, and they would have turned into a small little gem. And they would have sat there. And I would have hoped that someone would have taken it with them. And then after a couple of days, the gem would have hatched, and I would have played Arsene.
Okay, I was like,
Arsene would have been taken over because Ven would be dead, and then Arsene would be reborn in Ven's body, and I would have played that dragon form of Arsene as the other form. But that didn't happen.
Yep. And the reason we had to get rid of Arsene was the Pendragon archetypes that happen. One has a pet very similar to a ranger, the Beastmaster, and then the other one doesn't. So in order to go to that other bit and not have it overpowered in a dual archetype fashion, we just combined it into one character.
Right.
Yeah, so that was really quick. So we are out of time. It is 9:01 p.m., no, 2 p.m. in Eastern little place here. And we have to go start recording our next campaign. So we're going to be having Hannah join us. We're going to be starting our Storm King's Thunder campaign. You guys won't get to hear this for months down the line, but we are just very excited to start it. And John is DMing, and he's very excited, and we are excited. I'm excited to play a character for the first time in a long time for a long-term character instead of one-shots. So, yay, awesome. So we can go do that. Just sign offs very quickly. Again, I'm Josh Perault. I'm the DM currently, but not as of tonight for our home stuff for Taking Initiative. My Twitter handle is @ZyroxisTheBeard. You can see it right below me because that's where I put it. Drew.
I am Drew Tillman. I'm playing Cross right now, and you can find me on Twitter. Not that Drew. You should definitely follow me. I have fun stuff coming up. Quick side note. Nick, your Captain America thing on the background, I keep looking at it. It looks like he's giving me the finger. That's all I want.
John.
Find me on Twitter.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Bucky. I play Ven. You can find me on Twitter at Bucky_Masters, and I love you.
Nick.
Nick Figueroa. I play Kent. You can find me on all socials at Nico Figs, NIKOFIGS. Say hi. What's going on? What's up?
And Morgan.
I'm gonna galaxy brain the Captain America thing. It's like he's holding the shield, and it's like, wait till you see my dick.
He's being obscene with it.
So I'm Morgan. I play Charlotte. You can find me on Thistle Raven for D&D Blabber. I also sort of reactivated my adult Twitter, which is my full name, Morgan E. Conroy.
Those two guys go together, adult and Twitter.
I know, but it is my Twitter for more politics related stuff. So if you want to hear me complain about Cuomo, you can find me there. I tried to separate the two because I know some people want to escape the hellscape that we are in right now and want to just to talk about D&D stuff, and that's where you can find all the Thistle Raven stuff. I'm happy to blabber on about that. But if you are interested in more politics stuff, campaigning stuff, current policy stuff, you can follow the other Morgan E. Conroy. I'm totally fine with you following both. Speaking of which, congratulations, guys. Midterms, we rocked it. And I'm very proud of everybody who went and voted. You guys are all my babies, and thank you so much.
All right, so that's it for the podcast itself. You can find us at TI_pod. If you'd like to find out where you can find us otherwise, you can go to thespark.network. Go to the Find Us tab, and you can see all our different links. One thing we're always around is Discord. So find our Discord, hop in, talk. We have a great community there of, I think, 100 people now, or maybe more from last I counted. We also passed 150,000 downloads the other day, guys. So thank you very much for downloading the show and listening and being here and supporting us. We really appreciate it. One last thing, if you're going to PAX Unplugged, let me know so I can say hi there and we can talk and play games and have drinks and such. Morgan.
Hannah said that I said Thistle Raisin, and that's not true. It's Thistle Raven.
It's under the name.
Raisin at one point, and it made me laugh inside.
Okay.
So that's it. We're going to go play D&D. You should too, and some other RPGs as well if you enjoy those. So have a good night, everybody. Bye.
So long.
Bye.